This lady gave the term cokehead a whole new meaning. At a Colombian airport, a woman headed for Madrid, Spain, was scanned by airport security scanners and identified as concealing foreign objects in her hairstyle. The woman was detained for further search by airport security.
Police say when both women went through airport security, scanners showed foreign objects hidden in their big hairstyles.
A vial was found in the woman's hair extension during the search, and when opened and the content tested, it was discovered to be cocaine.
Detained and submitted to voluntary scanning, where the images showed irregularities. Video of one of those searches was made public. It shows when airport
Further search was carried out on the woman's hair. More vials with the substance were found hidden in the woman's hair. This could hardly be a coincidence.
When further searching revealed more tubes strategically attached to the woman's head.
At another airport in Colombia, another woman was caught smuggling the same drugs with the same means around the same time as the first woman, and also bound for Madrid, Spain. The two women, who were both traveling to the same place, were found with nearly 2 kilos of cocaine in all. After receiving several calls and complaints from people of suspected drug activity at an apartment on Lenox Road in Atlanta, the Atlanta police went to execute a search warrant at the suspected location.
As the officers right now went to execute a search warrant at an apartment on Lenox Road yesterday, they say
when they barged into the apartment, they found a variety of drugs, including marijuana, ecstasy, oxycodone, a bunch of cash, and a gun.
Marijuana, ecstasy, oxycodone, and a bunch of cash and a gun. Police say the man that they arrested and charged is a convicted felon with 20 arrests in Georgia, including 7.
The occupant of the apartment and suspected drug dealer who was arrested and charged was a convicted felon with several arrests for drug-related felonies. After being tipped off about a woman transporting large amounts of drugs through commercial airline flights, the DEA began an investigation, and on December 19, 2023, the case was cracked. It began at the airport when undercover DEA agents saw the suspect, Latasha Weatherspoon, and 2 other women picking up their suitcases and leaving the airport in a rental car. Like a casual traffic stop, a cop car trailed and stopped the women on their way.
Next.
Making the stop, 7350. They haven't come to a complete stop yet.
The cop did the regular check of the driver's license and other ID checks, and then he asked if the ladies were in a hurry, and they said they were going to a funeral. The policeman went over to his car and brought out his K9 dog, which specialized in narcotics detection.
How you doing? Not too bad. You got your license and registration with you?
Well, the registration's a rental car.
It's okay. All right, just anything with a van or whatever.
The K9 alerted to the presence of drugs in the vehicle, and the woman and her friends, including the one in the back, were all asked to step out of the car. They were handcuffed each, but the cop told them they were only being detained, not arrested. But they should have known that was the end of the road for them. When the 2 women who were in the front seat, Latasha Weatherspoon and Marlene Richardson,
Okay, alrighty. How long y'all staying? Y'all got a ton of luggage.
A week.
A week? Okay.
Well, I'm staying a week. They're staying. We got a funeral.
were individually asked how the trio was related, and when the funeral was to be held, they both gave contradictory answers. While Richardson said it was that very day, Weatherspoon said it was in 2 days. The cop acted like he believed both of them. A search was carried out on the luggage in the car, and 4 bags of crystal meth were discovered. When the women were asked, they all claimed to know nothing about drugs being in the car and talked less about it being in their suitcases. Richardson even claimed none of the suitcases were hers, despite her name tag being attached to one. She said it belonged to the 3rd woman, later identified as Cristina Enriquez.
I don't do this. I'm a public figure. Got 2 million followers on Instagram. She been talking to that man for 30 minutes. I know police. When a police officer take the liking to one person and keep talking, it's because that's the one that's gonna talk.
As if that wasn't enough, when in the cops' vehicle, she still went ahead to try to escape the law by snitching on her partners. She offered to tell them everything she knew concerning the drugs in the hope that they would be punished less or not at all. Wonder what she was thinking. After telling Tasha and disclosing the location to which the drugs were to be taken, she went ahead to even tell the cop that more people were coming. But not even that guaranteed her being set free. The 3 suspects were apprehended and charged with felony counts of dealing meth weighing 10 or more grams. In a different incident in Louisiana, a drug dealer attempted to run from a cop after being stopped for swerving and asked to step out for a talk after being suspected to be smuggling drugs.
I'm stopping you just for swerving, okay?
Let's go.
That's what? Coconut, okay. I was curious, I'm like...
The incident was recorded on the dashcam and body cam of the officer. The officer immediately rushed to his car and began the chase. After he had called for backup and finally caught up with the suspect, the man refused to show the officer his hands while he stood distant.
Back for me. Let me talk to you for a minute.
Meanwhile, a truck owner in a red shirt was caught up in the scene. After getting the red shirt guy to safety somehow, the cop returned to yelling at the suspect to show him his hands, but the suspect was stubborn about it. After a lot of resistance by the man, the officer had no choice but to fire his gun at him twice. This was enough to get the man to the ground. But when the man was approached and handcuffed, he began begging the cops.
Not showing his hand.
Get out there! We're gonna have
And not to spare his life or anything. In fact, contrary to that, he was begging them to kill him. Well, that's not very surprising considering the cartel he was working for would have probably done worse after losing a whole shipment of drugs. It is not certain whether the suspect died or not, but for the fact that the aim of the shot wasn't to kill and that he was being given first aid treatment, he probably survived, but would of course have been taken into custody.
2231. Sir, I shot at you twice, okay? Are you hit anywhere else?
On June 15, 2023, an officer patrolling a high-crime area known for the sales and use of narcotics in Elgin, Illinois, noticed a man, Jerome, coming into contact with 3 people in the area and engaging in what seemed to be a hand-to-hand transaction with each of them. The officer observed him trailing behind Jerome and stopped him for several traffic violations.
Officer Mac from Elgin Police Department. You got your license and insurance on you today?
Yeah, can you call the lieutenant for me? I want to supervise.
Okay.
Jerome began claiming rights when confronted by the officer and insisted on the supervisor. The supervisor arrived on the scene, and Jerome told him he had just come to that town to give some money to his niece and nephew. He saw a friend of his, and after exchanging greetings, he went to a store to get some water. The supervisor asked him to wait a while as things would be sorted out.
I look like I'm banned from there. Hey, man, just call the white shirt.
Things were sorted out all right, but just not in Jerome's favor. Because while he was busy conversing with the supervisor, the initial patrol officer who had stopped him was busy contacting the K9 unit. And when the K9 dog arrived, it alerted to the presence of narcotics in the vehicle. Jerome was asked to step out of the car, but still had the guts to say he'd sue the cop who stopped him. One cannot say if that was brave or just dumb.
Please just give me my tickets before I go on about my business.
I needed to clarify because, like I said, you're banned from one of the stores over there.
You said
so I had to look in.
Now
well, I had to look in.
When asked to be searched, Jerome refused. The officers were able to put him down and search him, but not without struggle. It was worth the struggle because a bag containing 8 individually wrapped white pieces that later tested positive for cocaine was found in his pocket. A vehicle search led to a 9mm semi-automatic handgun with a loaded magazine, a round in the chamber, and a 30-round magazine next to it. Also, a box of plastic bags was located, similar to the bag the crack cocaine was found inside.
Dope.
Try not to commit a crime while committing a crime. This drug dealer and his supposed girlfriend were stopped by a patrol officer for going at a speed of 90 miles per hour.
Is your rental then, or what? Yours? You got your ID with you? Anything inside the vehicle I need to know about? What's that?
While the officer made contact with the occupants, they claimed there was nothing illegal in the vehicle. He then asked if he could search their bags. The boy consented to this, but his girlfriend was upset about the whole thing. When it was time to search the boy's bag, he changed his mind and suddenly didn't want to be searched anymore.
Shavante? Alright, sorry. Is there anything inside the vehicle I need to know about? Any guns? Drugs?
The policeman then said he was going to bring out his K9 to search them. The boy once again changed his mind and suddenly wanted to be searched by the policeman himself, but it was too late. When the K9 was deployed, she was alerted to the odor of narcotics. Police ended up discovering a rectangular object tucked inside a concealed area of the vehicle.
There you go. Thanks.
Can I sit in now?
No.
Please?
She ain't gonna get you.
Yeah, but can I sit in? There's a cage.
A cop on patrol noticed something he deemed suspicious about the rear tire of a vehicle. He decided to go check it out. The car had 2 ladies and a man driving in it. They were asked to come out while an officer wrote a warning of unsafe equipment.
Hello. You can open it. I don't want to stand on that side because I get...
Without further ado, the K9 was employed, especially because of how nervous the suspect seemed. The K9 alerted the vehicle for the presence of narcotics, but when asked, as usual, all the suspects denied having any knowledge of such. The car was searched, and some syringes were being handcuffed to be taken to jail. Meanwhile, the Maine seemed innocent until the car was searched and the heroin was found on the driver's side. He too was then handcuffed to be taken into custody.
The only thing I can do is charge you with it. It's in your possession. What else can I do? You're kind of putting me in a rock and a hard place on this one.
At Gatwick Airport, a woman was suspected to be carrying a foreign object by a U.S. border agent and then stopped for question. The suspicions were raised when this agent noticed the old lady change her clothes after passing through immigration.
After passing through immigration, she was seen changing her clothes in the toilets.
When asked, the woman gave a flimsy excuse of how she had just gotten off from a long journey and wanted to change from her soaking clothes. The officer said he had noticed she took her holder with her when she went to change, and holders were usually used to conceal items.
George carries out a routine search of the woman's bags.
So, he took the holder and its content for proper scanning. Meanwhile, he searched her suitcase. The holder was scanned, but the woman's laptop seemed to be decidedly suspicious. A normal laptop would sit evenly on the X-ray, but this one wasn't stable. The laptop was taken in for further search, and of course, their hunch was right. They found a package hidden behind the screen of the laptop, which tested positive for cocaine. This was relayed to the woman, and she seemed to have taken it calmly.
All he's doing now is splitting it to take a small sample, which we can test on this cocaine reagent here.
While she was being taken in, she began to portray a very disturbing attitude. She swore at the camera twice, and even gave off an evil laugh or two.
The woman's attitude begins to change.
The drugs weighed up to 530 grams. Well, whoever hid that cocaine in that computer must be smart. In this next video, a trooper, Derek Lewis, was on a routine patrol when he spotted a red car with what looked like an illegal window tint. He stopped the vehicle. When stopped, the person behind the wheel turned out to be 27-year-old Elizabeth Espinoza.
Derek Lewis of the Florida Highway Police was out on a routine patrol when he spotted a red 2016 Dodge Journey with what looked like illegal window tint.
She said she was on her way back from visiting a friend in Texas and that she had unfortunately lost her driver's license during the trip. This raised suspicion in the trooper. She was asked to step out of her car.
She told Trooper Lewis that she was on her way back from Texas, where she was visiting a friend. Unfortunately, she lost her license during the trip.
And while Lewis said he would check her information in his car, he radioed a cane unit that was nearby. When the K9 arrived, it alerted to the vehicle, and Elizabeth was being detained.
While in his car, Lewis radioed Trooper Chris Nottingham, who was nearby with his K9 unit, Flip.
While in the cop vehicle, she asked if she could make a call, and on the call, she was telling anyone to tell a girl called Maria to take care of her kids. And in Spanish, she said she was pulled over and her vehicle was being searched.
Now in the back of a cop car, Elizabeth asks if she can make a phone call.
But they had not found it yet. Well, they soon would. After a thorough search, the cops did find it, and after further search, more were found in her dashboard. While waiting in the car, Elizabeth was restless, as is usual for someone in such a situation. Later that day, Elizabeth was booked into county jail for multiple drug-related felonies. One would think that someone already charged for such a crime would lay low for a bit, but not this someone. Elizabeth was supposed to self-report to jail on the first day of 2021 for her 24-month sentence, but checked in earlier in 2021, on December 5th, for assaulting her boyfriend. An Arkansas state trooper was patrolling in Pulaski when his eye caught a white van tailing a Dodge Charger in the left lane. He pulled behind the van and turned his light and sirens on, but the driver ignored the signals to stop initially. When he eventually stopped,
Arkansas State Trooper Jacob Price was patrolling Interstate 40 in Pulaski County when he spotted a white van with Rhode Island plates tailing a Dodge Charger in the left lane.
He was asked for his driver's license, and he gave that of the car owner. He said the van wasn't his. He was asked to step out of the van and stand at the window of the trooper's car while all his stuff was checked out.
Let me check all your stuff out, okay? Just stand at my passenger window. That way if you're getting sleepy, you can wake up too, okay? What's that? Just stand at my passenger window. I'm going to check your license out.
To this, he complied. When asked if he had any recent tickets or anything of the sort, the van driver clearly said he had an impeccable record. For some dumb reason, the driver, later identified as Paul Magda, decided to start talking about the weather. And you would think that Mr. Magda here would know to stay quiet instead of telling patternless lies.
Yeah, my window.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm not going to make you stand up there.
All right.
You ain't had no recent tickets or nothing like that, have you?
Nothing, sir.
Okay.
I've got an impeccable record.
Well, good.
But then again, as you probably guessed, he did the exact opposite and blabbed like a chatterbox. For a man who claimed to have an impeccable record, the 240 pounds of marijuana found in the back of Magda was a switch-up. He even admitted that that wasn't his first time. It is not certain what happened to Paul after this bust, but you can hope he got a sentence just enough to keep his running mouth shut. Coast Guard cutter from the home port of Alameda had once again caught some drug dealers transporting illicit drugs by water. As usual, drugs were found on the boat and the suspects were apprehended. All caught on the body camera of one of the Coast Guards.
3 outboards.
United Coast Guard. Manos arriba, manos arriba.
During the investigation of suspects involved in illegal narcotics activity, a number of things were found, but nothing out of the ordinary in this case. After being put down and handcuffed, suspected crack cocaine was found, and the suspects were arrested.
Make sure your screen's down and fits off.
The U.S. Coast Guard raided a submarine speeding through the eastern Pacific Ocean, moving more than 17,000 pounds of cocaine. Coast Guard surveillance aircraft tracked the drug-filled narco sub hundreds of miles off the Colombian and Ecuadorian coastline, watched by the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Monroe.
That's gonna be hard to get on. Alto Tupaco!
It revealed the moment when a member of the Coast Guard was riding on top of the speeding sub, pounding on the hatch and demanding it come to a stop. Then 3 other guardsmen jumped off the ship and boarded the 40-foot sub while one pounded on the hatch with his fist. A presumed trafficker emerged from the narco sub, putting his hands up in surrender. 5 alleged smugglers were seized aboard the vessel and handed over for prosecution by the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. Spanish police on dramatic footage of suspected drug dealers trying to evade capture during a police chase, filmed from a police helicopter. The footage revealed some suspected drug traffickers being chased at high speed by a police boat before they abandoned the boat on a beach, running past sun loungers. Did they think they could still redeem themselves by leaving behind everything? Of course not. Even if they wanted to, they'd have to pay for their past crimes first. And it so happened that they were caught up with either way. Police arrested all 3 men and seized 1,200 kilograms of hashish. A 25-year-old British model was stopped by authorities when he tried to check into a flight at Jorge Chavez International Airport with almost 3 kilograms of cocaine hidden in his suitcase. The drugs were later said to be destined for London.
El pesaje de la sustancia encontrada en su equipaje de bodega.
During the search, as bags of cocaine were found hidden underneath Adam's suitcase, he displayed expressions of surprise.
La maleta del joven TikToker tenía casi 3 kilos de cocaína.
If one didn't know better, one would say someone must have framed the young man. After the find, Adam was arrested and charged with drug smuggling. He confessed in court and was sentenced to 6 years and 8 months in prison.
Se va a hacer el registro corporal, ¿ya? Se puede poner de pie. Sáquense anillos, collares, correa.
Captured on video is the moment undercover police officers pose as street-level drug dealers. They usually are after the actual drug dealers, but today their targets are the buyers. The first buyer is a grown man who pulls up in a car to buy some marijuana.
A white male, white compact car.
What's up, dog? What you want? What you want, man? What you want? How much? Huh?
The undercover officers approach the man, inquiring what it was he was looking to buy. The man soon buys some marijuana, and that's the moment the other officers in uniform parked nearby roll in to make the arrest. They closed in on the suspect and put him in handcuffs. The man remains rather calm and soon reveals to the officer that he was a marijuana addict. He is loaded into the police car and taken in for booking.
Marijuana addict? For how long? 38 years. 38 years you've been smoking weed? You gonna need some help, you think?
Doing what? Video footage at an airport in England shows the moment officers get suspicious about a passenger. The passenger's nervous behavior triggers a female officer to confront him, asking him several questions. She then asks him about any illicit substance he may be carrying in his luggage.
Right, you've got your ticket as well. Any ticket? And where do you live, sir? In Holland?
She takes his bags to the X-ray to check the contents of drugs or weapons, but the X-ray shows no concealment of drugs. But the officer still isn't satisfied.
Works in a factory in the Netherlands. He's flying on back today. They're all right, aren't they?
The X-ray shows no concealment.
The man is taken for a full body scan to find out if he's carrying drugs on his body. The female officer now awaits to see if her instincts are right after all. And surely, the scan reveals he is stuffed with what looks like several packages of drugs. The officers now arrest him for drug smuggling. The packages are removed from his system and are identified to be all cocaine. The officer's initial suspicion was right after all.
He's stuffed with packages of drugs.
This car pulls up to buy drugs from dealers who, unbeknownst to him, were police officers working undercover. They ask him what he wants, but as soon as they complete the transaction, the other officers pull up and make the arrest.
What you need, 20 dog? 20. Straight. I ain't gonna give you nothing but some good stuff, man. Good, baby. My stick good, baby.
Just come back at us, baby.
He's doing a hand-to-hand, looks like right now.
Ready to move. Get ready to move.
Gonna get ready. Trap, man.
Body cam footage showed the moment a cop, while conducting what he thought was a routine traffic stop on a semi-truck, stumbled upon $2 million worth of drugs. The officer had initially just pulled the men over to ask routine questions. He made sure he wasn't drinking alcohol, then asked the driver for his registration and license.
You got registration, sir? Yes, sir. So you're driving for a friend?
Yeah, my friend's
owner of the Arcade?
A few minutes later, the officer decides to check the content of their truck. And this was the moment he made the shocking discovery. He immediately exits the truck and goes to make the arrest, as the men act oblivious like they did not know their truck was carrying $2 million worth of cocaine.
Don't move.
An officer suspects that a man might be a wanted criminal, and so he inquires about his name. Body cam footage shows the confrontation between the officer and the man when the officer realized the man had given him a false identity.
Will you let me go, dude?
I just looked up.
Let me
Stop.
go, dude.
Stop.
No, dude. Come on. Stop. Please.
Your name's not Chad, dude.
Let me
Your name
go.
is not Chad.
The man starts resisting arrest and attempts to, but the officer is able to restrain him before he gets far and calls for backup.
Your name's not Chad. He's fighting me. Hurry up.
While the struggle continued, the officer noticed the suspect concealing a black box in the fender of a nearby vehicle. The box is later recovered and is seen to contain several packages of illicit drug substances. The suspect is then taken to the police station and charged with resisting arrest and the possession of illegal substances with intent to sell.
Put them on cell phone restrictions at the jail. I'll tell you on that. That's probably 26. That's probably 26. Or,
These little ones.
Yep. It's not bad. Yeah, it is.
Wonder whoever said being so vulgar or raw things put you on the good side of the cops. A man was stopped by a patrol officer for swerving into oncoming lanes, and he tried to be casual, telling the cop he lived just up the street and even mentioned that he was just going to have sex with a girl. But this, he said in the most inappropriate way possible.
Sir, I'm Officer Murphy of Moline. The reason why I'm stopping you is you swerved into oncoming lanes a couple times. You're kind of swerving in between different lanes.
I ain't mean to do that.
Okay. And then like when you turn that corner, like you almost clipped.
He was asked to step out of the car, and he did. You would think that with the way he was letting them search the vehicle without hesitation, it would be hard to find anything on him. But it took only a few seconds for the officer to find weed when he got into the car.
What's this in your pocket? I don't know. Let me see. Can I reach in there and grab it?
No, let me see first.
Okay, well, I'm not going to let you reach in there.
When he was about to be handcuffed, he tried running. Wonder what he was thinking, though. Because first off, he was even outnumbered.
Yes. Take my time, boy.
Have you ever been arrested before?
A million times, man.
For what?
Probably weed, goofy ass, miscellaneous ass, shit like that.
With further search, much more cocaine was found in his trunk.
Oh, boys. We might have just hit the jackpot, baby. Ooh.
After everything, the man was arrested for several charges, including possession of drugs, which included possession of ammunition for 3 different handguns, possession of a weapon, armed habitual, and resisting arrest.
Talk to me. I'm right here.
I'm gonna catch us out the charge with you, bro. I'm telling you, I'm gonna knock your ass straight out, bro.
Look at me.
I
I'm right
promise
here.
you I am.
I am right here.
Whatever size.
I have to check your shoes.
I let you take my shoes.
After a 5-day investigation, the police department finally caught up with a notorious drug dealer known as Quack. It seemed pretty easy, but it wasn't done without a lot of preparation.
To order up some doses of heroin. Once the target exits the residence and is about to enter the vehicle, we'll just swing around the corner and pick him up at that point. Sound good?
And of course, drugs were found on him, and Quack was brought to justice for the harm he has caused in the community. His residence was also checked for more.
So here, somebody turn it in for something, little heroin. Sometimes these guys don't have money, but they go out and steal at night, and then they come see him early in the morning and turn in what they got.
A raid was done on the house of a single man after the police had gotten a lead on him. The SWAT team was also involved in this raid. The suspect was put down and his house was searched. At first, he admitted to having only a small quantity of cocaine hidden in one of his jacket pockets.
It's in the liner. Is that the only thing that you have there? Hang on, stay right there. Let me check this, make sure there's nothing here.
But after further search, the substance was discovered in almost every tiny hole in his belongings. In total, about 10 ounces of cocaine were found in the residence. The suspect was taken into custody.
Bingo!
A warrant was executed at a house rumored to have been dealing in heroin.
Just tell me, you're not going to get arrested, that's my word. I promise you, with all my heart, you're not going to get arrested. Okay, with the dirty clothes?
In the house lived a couple. One of the officers asked the female to tell him where the substance was hidden, and she asked if she wouldn't get arrested. The officer gave her his word on that. You can only hope he kept to it. She told him what he wanted, and after the search, police recovered 1.5 pounds of black tar heroin sewn into the lining of the baby crib.
Oh yeah, it's a good ball. There it is right there. It's a good chunk.
The man, on the other hand, accepted that all the drugs found were his, and he was taken into custody, but as promised, his wife was left behind. A while ago, the authorities found the ledger of a drug dealer which had a phone number in it. The phone number was traced to a name. And on a fateful day, the police department decided to visit the suspect at his house. When they got there, they first of all found 3 ounces of cocaine and a loaded gun. A lot of money was also found. The man was taken into the police car. His wife and child were also in the house. As expected, when the wife was asked, she said she knew nothing about any drugs kept in her house.
Yours? Then you gotta go to the police.
Tips. I work.
Okay.
My tips.
Okay. Well, I don't know. That's not my responsibility.
Well, exactly
okay?
how you want me to show you.
Okay, that's not my responsibility.
But what happened next was out of pure love. The initial suspect asked that his wife not be arrested. He offered to cooperate and tell the authorities everything he knew about his supplier on that condition. And so it was.
Responsibility of this. That's what I want to know, because my other option is to arrest everybody. I just want to know that you heard that once, right? Okay. Ahorita hablo contigo allá, Piri.
In this next video is yet again another Arkansas State Police trooper, Chris Goodman, on duty who made a big bust while on parole duty. Goodman conducted a traffic stop when he observed a silver Hyundai Santa Fe driving on and then crossing the centerline divider of Interstate 40. The front seat passenger was Heriberto Felix Ruiz. When the driver of the car and Ruiz gave conflicting stories to Trooper Goodman, he responded by asking for permission to search their vehicle. Trooper Goodman ultimately found 6 packages wrapped in duct tape and hidden in the vehicle's spare tire. A spare tire, which he had already found to be suspicious. The packages turned out to contain more than 15 pounds of fentanyl, which had a street value of more than $6 million.
He's in my car. He can't hear you. The other guy's way back there. Is that what he said? I mean, that was pretty much agreed to.
Ruiz was charged with conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute fentanyl, but after his arrest about a month later, an auto salvage company contacted law enforcement to report they had located a suspicious package in a vehicle they had purchased at auction from a car rental company. The vehicle turned out to be the same Hyundai Santa Fe from this traffic stop, and it contained an additional 5 kilograms of fentanyl that had not been found in the initial search.
You put him in his car, I'm gonna get his bottle of water.
In the end, even after his guilty plea, Ruiz was sentenced to 11 years of imprisonment, followed by 5 years of supervised release. A police car attempted to pull over a car after they noticed it following too closely to a truck. But another vehicle struck that of the deputies, which made the deputies' car spin. The car didn't stop, but just kept on moving together with the initially suspected vehicle.
742? You were just driving normal. I was just driving.
Yeah, just
we lost the vehicle. We 1050'd.
The suspects were not caught that day, but it wasn't the end yet. Because the following day, the occupant of the vehicle was traced to a rental car. And of course, they were caught and drugged and were given a total of 48 years in federal prison for various charges, charged with their respective crimes, including intentionally crashing into a Potter County deputy in Texas.
Here, please.
We'll get it to you. Have a seat.
In the middle of the year 2023, police responded to tips regarding drug sales at a residence in Coon Valley, Wisconsin. A male and female were involved in trafficking methamphetamine and fentanyl across multiple counties in Wisconsin. When a deputy tried to approach the male suspect during a traffic stop, he attempted to escape but was caught.
Don't put your hands behind your back. Quit being stupid. Please don't. Hold on. Please. Hold on. Ow! I can't. Stop. Oh. 15 log guy.
I'm good.
2 taser deployments and one.
I'm not doing nothing.
Later, investigators searched their residence, where the female suspect was arrested. During the search, numerous plastic bags containing illegal drugs and drug paraphernalia were discovered scattered across the premises.
Due to indications of potential drug influence, he was transported to a hospital for a blood draw.
So, why don't you go ahead and have a seat back in there again for me, and we're going to head right to the hospital, okay? All right, so I'm going to head over to the hospital here.
This is like the dumbest way to get caught with drugs. If you're going to get caught, you could at least give the cops a bit of a hard time. But these two didn't conceal their substance well enough, because when the cop was checking with them, aside from the fact that they told contradictory stories of where they were going to, he could also perceive the odor of marijuana emanating from the vehicle. In the vehicle, by the way, were a mother and her son.
What brings you guys to this part of New Mexico? I'm sorry? Getting away? Nice. Where are you guys headed to now?
The two were asked to step out of the vehicle, and they were asked, as was the custom, if they had anything in the vehicle that could implicate them. The officer told them that it would be better for them if they cooperated and that he wanted the supplier, not them. But the duo kept on contemplating, and the officer decided to carry out the search anyway.
And then you don't have any weapons on you or anything like that? Okay, so I'm gonna have you also go here to the side. Not as far as him, but you could probably hang out right here where it kind of opens up with the weeds.
I can't sit in the car, it's on the heat.
During the search, the first bag the officer searched contained 2 Glock handguns and a clear extended magazine, along with 4 blue pills. Further search was carried out while the duo was put into cops' cars, and 24 individual bags of fentanyl were found. In a duffel bag, a jar of marijuana and 1 kilo of heroin.
10-4, can you get me another unit? I'm going to be searching this vehicle off a PC search.
New Mexico State Police Officer Kim Sanchez was on duty when the police dispatch received an anonymous call regarding a suspicious vehicle. The dispatch described the driver and vehicle. The reporting party also stated they observed the truck briefly pull over at a place and observed the pickup to be hauling big black trash bags. They claimed that inside the trash bags was a lot of weed. Also, the marijuana was in wrapped vacuum seals. How did they know all that? Don't ask. The officer on duty soon saw a vehicle and driver that matched the description given. The pickup and the male matched the description. He tailed the car and turned on his sirens. When he finally stopped the driver, he informed the driver of how he had been described as a suspect and the vehicle that matched the driver of the pickup, who was identified to be Mr. Don Wester, as well as his vehicle.
So the reason I'm making contact with you is somebody had called you in and said that he observed like large...
When asked if he knew anything about him picking up a package on the side of the road, Mr. Wester stated that he stopped on the side of the road about 5 miles out of Roswell to let his dog use the bathroom. Unbelievable.
Okay.
And let him use the bathroom. There's a big gravel area.
Okay.
But no, I didn't throw anything out.
Yeah, I guess somebody called you in, so that's...
When asked if he had any trash bags in the back of his truck, Wester stated that he did not. But when the officer asked if he could check the vehicle, Wester clearly said he wasn't going to let anyone search his vehicle at that moment.
So, I made my...
When the other officers arrived, Officer Sanchez told them what was going on. Once again, Wester was asked to get out of the vehicle, and one of the officers returned his baton and threatened to break the windows of the pickup if Wester didn't comply. Wester finally exited the vehicle and was placed in handcuffs. He was under arrest already for resisting, evading, or obstructing an officer.
Subject in a vehicle.
Pat him down. I'm detaining him.
Can you roll the window up?
Yes,
yes.
Animal Control and K-9 arrived on scene. The K-9 alerted the rear driver and rear passenger sides of the vehicle. Because of this alert, a tow truck was called, and the vehicle was picked up to be taken to the office for a search warrant to be given, and get a search warrant for the vehicle.
I'm gonna break your window. I'm gonna break your window.
In the end, 90.62 pounds of marijuana, 34.8 grams of cocaine, an additional 97.6 grams of marijuana in a glass jar, a .38 Special Smith & Wesson revolver, and Federal brand .38 Special cartridges, 5 in quantity, were found in the pickup truck, as well as methamphetamine. A body-worn camera footage showed a traffic stop in Cibola County, New Mexico, of a drug interdiction deputy pulling a white Dodge minivan. The suspect was very cooperative in the investigation and forthcoming on literally every piece of information needed from him. You could even say he was rather helpful.
I wanted this vehicle just for $49. I'll be out with this vehicle. Here's all your stuff. Here's your license plate.
Quite a few duffel bags full of marijuana were stacked in the back of the van, and all of it was taken into custody, but the man was let go. Well, not entirely, just pending federal prosecution.
I don't want it anymore because you're not very good at it.
Yeah, I'm not. I haven't sitting here like... Well, you're not going to send him to jail here to get scalped? No.
We'll let HSI do.
A traffic stop was conducted by MCSO Deputy James Manning on a truck hauling a car on a trailer that had faulty equipment. Deputy Manning conversed with the driver, Carl Harris, and the passenger, Angela McCole. Another deputy, Deputy Brandon Jenkins, arrived on scene and assisted Deputy Manning. Both deputies smelled the odor of marijuana coming from the vehicle, and they asked the driver and passenger to exit the truck so they could conduct a search.
I appreciate it, buddy.
He's okay enough to take my cigarette.
Yeah, you're good.
Just wanted to talk to you right here.
Yes, sir.
So where...
During their search, deputies soon discovered that Harris was a one-stop shop drug dealer. The following drugs were discovered in his vehicle, some in trafficking amounts: fentanyl, hydrocodone, methamphetamines, marijuana, cocaine, MDMA, oxycodone, clonazepam, buprenorphine, hydrochloride, Adderall, and gabapentin.
Yeah, look at this.
Also, Harris had a loaded Kel-Tec 9mm handgun and a loaded high-point 9mm carbine rifle in his truck within his reach. 2 extended 9mm magazines were found in the glove box. Brass knuckles, a hunting knife, numerous drug paraphernalia, and $4,500 cash were also discovered in his possession. Additionally, McCole had a glass pipe and a glass bong containing methamphetamine residue in her possession. They were both charged with their several crimes. A routine traffic stop conducted in Bunel, Florida, unraveled a discovery that led to the arrest of a couple and the seizure of illegal substances and counterfeit merchandise. The deputy initially pulled over a Dodge truck due to a broken taillight and the vehicle being unregistered. The vehicle stunk of marijuana, raising suspicions. Upon checking the vehicle's registration, it was revealed that the truck was also lacking insurance. The occupants of the vehicle were asked to step out of the car. They admitted to having a small amount of marijuana in the car. However, what the deputy discovered when searching the vehicle was no small quantity. He found a bag containing small amounts of cocaine, followed by the shocking revelation of a bag filled with 4 pounds of marijuana. The female driver denied any knowledge of the additional drugs, while her husband claimed they were for personal consumption rather than distribution.
Followed by the shocking revelation of a bag filled with 4 pounds of marijuana.
So you already lied to me. Wow.
The search continued, and yet again, another illegal item was found. A bag containing approximately 20 counterfeit Rolex watches. The duo was arrested. The female driver faced charges including possession of marijuana with intent to sell, manufacture, or deliver, possession of drug paraphernalia, and motor vehicle violations for failing to register and attaching an unassigned tag. Her husband, on the other hand, was charged with possession of marijuana with intent to sell, possession of cocaine, and possession of drug paraphernalia. How do you get stopped by more than 3 officers at a time and you don't know it's going down? The Columns Division of the Police Safe Streets program was watching a house suspected to be used for narcotics trade when a vehicle pulled up in front of the house and left a short time later. The officers tailed the vehicle and conducted a traffic stop on the vehicle.
How you doing, partner?
The occupant of the vehicle was a man, and after the routine check of IDs, the cops in no time called the K9 unit for a quick check on the car. This was not a regular traffic stop. When asked to step out, the driver had a lot to say.
What is it,
But seeing the cops were bent on getting him out of that vehicle come what may, he attempted to run off with his car. But of course, this was a futile escape attempt, and he was soon tied down by the officers.
I'm gonna give you... No, don't pull off. Do not pull off.
Don't move!
His car was searched, and in it were found a gun and some drugs. He was charged with improper handling of a firearm, possession of drugs, a second charge of possession of drugs, and 2 charges of weapon under disability, meaning the suspect was not legally allowed to be in the possession of a firearm at the time of his arrest. At a marijuana grow house in Miami, a disturbing drug bust unfolded. But before that, big tip. Don't get into a gunfight until you effectively know how to use a gun. One of the occupants of the house had just come out, and 2 officers approached him, trying to get him to get them in. When he doesn't, a group of other feds show up. But what they all don't notice is that guy who stepped out of the house and into a car just moments before they walked up to the house owner. He stepped out of the car with a gun. You would think that by coming out with a gun he was going to open fire first, but it seemed one of the federal officers took the first shot. The first 3 shots got him right in the guts, and then the gunfight ensued. He could barely fight back with his injuries and just kept firing aimless shots. But finally, it was all made easy for him when an officer from a slightly opposite angle fired the last shot that put him down. The rest, as they say, is history.